Okay. Today we're gonna be okay. So today we're gonna be doing the topic of bearings in trigonometry. Now the bearings is not that difficult of a chapter, but it still requires us to know some basic things. Bearings is basically angles from a point. Okay, are very similar to this. They're very similar to normal angles, and they are always in 3 digits. Okay, for example, this if you have the bearing of let's say 17 degrees is written as 017 degrees, like this. You will not miss out on the 0 because always has to be 3 digits. Okay, so we're gonna write 017 degrees as the answer. And also bearings always start from north and go clockwise. Okay, let's see some examples of bearings. So let's say if I have a question over here, let's say someone says that this point over here is A and this point over here is B. And now let's say the angle that's from here to this part, let's say that's going till B, this part over here is let's say 117 degrees. 117 degrees. So this will be our bearing. This is our bearing. Why? Look, we have a point over here that's A, and we have a point over here that's B. We start from the north, okay? The north side, we know we have north, south, east, west. We start by making a arrow on the north, and then we go clockwise till we reach our point. So let's say this is the point, okay, where B is at. We measure the distance or we measure the angle, and that is 117 degrees in this case. So we'll say 117 degrees is our bearing. Okay. Similarly, if someone said that find the bearing of B from A, answer would be what? Our answer would be simply that it is 117 degrees. From A means that you go to A and you make your north. You go to A and you make your north, and then you go clockwise. So we always have to look at you will start from A and go till B. Okay. Now, a similar question could be I write down find the bearing of A, sorry, find the bearing of A from B. From B. Now, this is a completely different question. It's not the same thing. Let me show you. A from B basically means, sorry, B from A basically means that you start at A and you go till B. A from B means that you now make your new north over here. So if I make it, you can make your new north. And you might say, okay, but the angle that we need is this one, right? No, we need this angle, this one, because remember we're gonna go clockwise. So we're gonna go clockwise until we reach our A. Okay. So let me write down first. Over here, if I need to find the angle, let me erase this here first. Right. Okay. Now look over here. I want to find this angle. Now I know that this over here is angle on a straight line. Okay, so this, so that means this is 180 degrees, and we just need to find this angle over here. Now if you look a bit closely, this angle is 117 is an alternate angle to this angle over here. Okay, so because we have a z angle, we discussed in the last class of angle properties, that whenever we have z angles, meaning we have a z shape, those are called alternate angles, then the angle that's over here is the same as the angle that is over here. So that means this angle is also 117 degrees. Okay. Now you can write down simply that the bearing of A from B is the 180 plus the 117. So we have 297 degrees as our bearing. Okay. Okay, so we have another question here. A ship sails from port A to port B on a bearing of 72 degrees, 072 degrees. Find the bearing of port A from port B. Okay, so first I have to make our ports here. Let's say this is port A. Okay, let's call it A. And a ship sails from port A to port B at a bearing of 72 degrees. Okay, that means if you measure 72, it's going to be somewhere around here. They didn't tell us how far it is, so we can just say, let's make it here. And we can then join the line. That is 72 degrees. They said you have to find the bearing of port A from port B. From port B means we have to go to port B, and we have to now make our north. So we have the north over here, the arrow, the straight arrow. Now we measure that this is our bearing. So again, we know that this over here, this is 180 degrees. And this remaining part, again, is going to be alternating angles with 72. So this is also 72 degrees. So we can simply say that we have 72 plus 280, sorry, 180, correct that. Yeah. 180 degrees, and we're gonna get 252 degrees as our bearing. Okay, we have this new question. A hiker walks 9 kilometers due north from point P to point Q. Okay. Okay, we have this new question. A hiker walks 9 kilometers due north from point P to point Q. So let's say the hiker was here, point P, he walks north to point Q. Let's say that's 9 kilometers. Okay, we can make a line. So that's 9 kilometers. That they then turn and walk 5 kilometers due east. Okay, that means over here, 5 kilometers, let's say it goes like this to point R. Let's say that's point R. Calculate the bearing of point R from point P to point R from point P. Okay, that's like this one. This angle, okay. Okay, got it. So first of all, we're going to make a line that goes from here to point R, and they're basically asking us this angle over here. They said from the bearing of point R from point P. So we now make our north on point P. We already have a straight line. We go clockwise so we get to point R. That's this. So we want to find this angle. Now if we look at this, this looks like a right angle triangle. Okay. And we know that in a right angle triangle, we can use our Pythagoras theorem to like find out this side, but that's not what we want to find. We want to find out the angle. So if we actually make the triangle properly here, like a right angle triangle, you can see a bit better. You have this. So we have 9 kilometers over here. We have 5 over here. And this is the angle we want to find. So according to this angle, let's call it theta. This is my base. This is my perpendicular, or opposite as we call it. So we can use our tan over here. So tan theta is equal to the perpendicular over our base, or you could say opposite over adjacent. Okay, so perpendicular, that is going to be 5 divided by your 9. And then we're going to also do tan inverse of 5 divided by 9. If we do that here, we get 29.0.05. But they also said we have to give them the answer correct to the nearest degree. Nearest degree, that means we go to 9, which is the next one. The next one is 0, so we're just going to leave it as it is, 29. But again, we discussed that in bearings, we have to give the answer in 3 digits. So we're going to write down 0 to 9 degrees as the bearing. Okay, we got one more question here. The question says, see, 3 towns X, Y, and Z are situated such that town Y is 12 kilometers from town X, okay, on a bearing of 110. Okay, let's say we can also draw this here. Let's say I have town X over here, and on a bearing of 110, so let's say about here, and 12 kilometers away, let's say 12 kilometers away, we have this point. We have Y, 12 kilometers on a bearing of 110. Town Z is 15 kilometers from town Y on a bearing of 240. That means if I have my north here, 240 would be somewhere 180, and over here, and that's 15 kilometers away. Let's say this point over here. Okay, so let's say that Z, that's 15 kilometers, and this is 240, and the first one was 110 degrees. Okay, now they're saying calculate the direct distance between X and Z, give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so first of all, they want us to find this side. Let's call it X. Now, again, in bearings, you will be asked questions like these where you have to find out either the angle or a side. In this case, we have to first make our diagram, and now we have to find out this side, that's X. Now, we can see one possibility here, that if I know this angle, this one, let me mark with a different pen, this angle, let's call it angle Y, I can use my cosine rule, for which I just need 2 sides and the angle, and I can find the side that the angle is facing, that's X in this case. But for that, I need to find the angle Y. Now, we just learned before that this part over here is 180, okay, 180 degrees. That means the remaining part over here is going to be 240 minus 180, so that's going to be 60 degrees. Okay, now this angle, if you can see one thing, so try to draw this properly, this is an alternate angle. This angle 110 is an alternate angle with this big angle, this one, the 60 included, with this angle that's in here. So if this angle is alternate to 110, so that means 110 degrees equal to 60 plus Y. We can find Y through there. That's going to be 110 minus 60 degrees, and that's going to give me 50 as my answer. That means this angle over here is 50 degrees. So we can use it and say, okay, I have my angle, I have 2 sides, and I want to find a third side, so I can use my cosine rule. So using cosine rule, if you learned in the previous classes, you can watch a video about this in the playlist of trigonometry. So it's going to be x squared is equal to 12 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 into 12 into 15 into cos of 50. Okay, so we can simplify this. X squared, that's 144, that's 225. And we try to do this, 15 times 12 times 2. We get 360, so minus 360 times cos of 50. So cos 50 would be 0.6427. We're just going to leave it as it is right for now. So let's say 0.6427 like that. You can simplify this. So 144 plus 225 minus 360 times cos of 50. We get 137.596. We're just going to leave it as it is in the calculator. We're going to take the square root. Okay. And the end, we're going to get 11.73015. They said give an answer equal to 3 significant figures. So we go to 17. We check the next one. That's 3. So we're going to just leave the 7 as it is. So our answer would be 11.7 kilometers as our answer. So that's gonna be for this class. You can access the notes for this class in the description. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about this, you can let me know in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next class. Bye bye.